Hey, what's up, developers? Today we're going to talk about my setup and how I set up my Mac system with iTerm2 using Tmux and Vim. I'm not going to show you how to install these, but I will show you how I work with them when I do my web development and when I'm working on different projects. And I'll give you a sneak peek on how I set up my Tmux and how I set up my Vim and my iTerms2. So if you're not familiar with this, let me go ahead and just start with iTerm2. So iTerm2 is a terminal emulator for macOS that does these amazing things. So you can do split panes, you can do hotkey windows, search. I mean, there's quite a few different terminals out there, and I think a lot of people have different preferences and what they like. So let me know in the comments below what terminal you guys use when you are working on web development. Then I use Tmux. Tmux is a terminal multiplexer. It just makes it really easy to switch between different screens. Oftentimes in web development, you'll have to start a server and you might be editing multiple different files at the same time. It's just nice to switch between them too quickly. Of course, you can do this with other means. A lot of people are big fans of Atom and other editors, other programs that allow you to create different screens and different files open different places, but this is my preference. And then we have Vim, of course, so I will show you how I use that. And of course, Vim is a text editor, but you can get some plugins and make it a lot more powerful. So let's see if I can switch to, okay, so here is my Tmux. Now I blew it up a little bit so you can see it. You can see here, this is the iTerminal. This is the iTerm2 that we're running here. And what I usually do is first, if you're not familiar with, like I said before, Tmux is a terminal emulator. If I can detach screens, so you can see here, I'm just in an empty directory here. If I run Tmux attach, then I'm back into my Tmux. Now you can't see really well because I blew this up, but at the bottom I have a few different terminals open, and I have actually 4 of them open. So the first one is my main one here. And before we get into too much, I do use Vim a lot. So if I look, you can look here. Here's what's called a vimrc file. This is all the different plugins that I have loaded. I'm running Vim 8 right now. So Vim 8 has some nice new features. It's easier to do asynchronous stuff in it with your plugins. But you can see here, I'm always constantly changing this and trying things out. I mean, you can spend forever on your environment just trying to get it perfect, and I'm certainly not perfect in this, and I'm sure some people out there, if you have a cooler setup, let me know. I'm definitely worth trying. Some of my plugins that I use is NerdTree. You know, someone made a comment earlier in one of my videos saying, don't use NerdTree, you can just use some of the built-in stuff into Vim 8, and yeah, that's probably true. I still like it. This is actually an older version of Control P that's no longer supported. There's a newer fork, but once again, I like this version of Control P, so I keep it. Syntastic is another kind of plugin that I use to help to do syntax highlighting. And I'm not going to go over all of these, but I have TypeScript, I have some stuff to help me do makes, and I have a JavaScript one, and I have some Ember ones. Now I tried to do some more asynchronous stuff with Ale, to do some special linting, things like that. I mean, it didn't work out perfectly, so I took it out. I actually made a video on this, but I use Powerline, and it gives you some fonts. So you can probably see at the bottom of the screen that I have like this normal, and it kind of looks cool. It's in green, so that is a part of Powerline, and I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in how to install that. And yeah, I have some simple stuff, some ignores. For Control P, I have some bindings. And then I've kind of gone through and commented out a bunch of stuff because I was trying different linters and things out, and I just haven't cleaned this up. So that's a little bit of my vimrc. If you also notice, I'm also using ZSH, or Zish, you might want to call it. And really, I haven't played around. I've been using it for a couple years now, and I've tried the different plugins for this. If you're not familiar, ZSH or Zish is a type of shell for your system, and I installed it on my Mac here. I have something called Agnoster. That's what makes these kind of neat prompts and makes it look really nice. Really, the only plugins I use for my Z shell is this Git. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Zish or Z shell. Well, either way, is Git, bundler, OSX, and VI mode. So Git's really nice. So then I can, instead of having to type out Git status, Git push origin master, Git different, I can just type GD or GS. I can show you a little bit of that if you guys are interested. And yeah, and just basic commands here. I use nvm, which is a way I can quickly switch different node versions. And here's some of the stuff I had to add in for the power line for that to work. And also RVM. So you can see here that's just a couple of the tools that I use there. So what I usually do, and this is not perfect, I'm always changing it, but usually if I'm on a project that has a server side and a client side, sometimes you have to run those not at the same time, or you have to run different commands to start up. Maybe you run a command to start your Ruby backend, and then you run another command to start your Ember front end or your Rails front end. So this is where I kind of do it from. So usually the first terminal, I'll start the server. You can do Control B1. I have a second terminal here, which is where I usually start the client-side server, so to speak. And then the third, this is usually where I look inside my client. So I'm using Vim here. One thing I use all the time is Control P, so I can easily like search through stuff to find what I'm looking for. Or I just kind of navigate through the directories. Once I find what I want, I can open it here. If there was like another one I wanted to open, I can have the option to open it up in vertical, horizontal, or replace, or hidden. So I can just do, I don't know, horizontal, and I can have one at the top, one at the bottom. If there's something I want to break out of, I think there's command Control W, Shift T, and now I have two tabs. So I can shift between the two. Let's see here. The one thing with Vim is that sometimes it's hard to remember all the different commands. I think it's Control G, Shift T. Let me see here. Control W, Shift G. Well, I'll look that up. But yeah, you can do some really cool things. Open up different tabs. I can also just go back here and open up one over here if I want to do horizontal. I have options doing that or replacing it. So yeah, usually I have one editor here just for the client side, and then depending on what I'm doing, I'll have another editor for the server side, and I'll do the same thing I did before. I'll usually have this open, and I can switch between the files real quickly by doing Control B and 3 and 4. And then usually Vim has a grep to grep between files, which I can do using :g grep, but a lot of times I just go in and I have one more terminal open, one more session open, so I can just do a grep through it. So I just do a grep -r or x grep or whatever I want, and then I can just look through all the files really quickly. So that is quickly how I handle web development. So I just keep all these terminals open. I switch between all the different panes that are open. If I need to close it, I just close it. So and then I just use Vim with multiple panes, horizontal or different tabs if I need to get through it. So that is just real quickly on my setup that I'm using. I'm really curious what you guys are using, so please leave a comment below with what you're using, if what your setup is. If it's better, faster, quicker, let me know. I'm always willing to check things out. Thanks. Oh yeah, and if you like this video, please click that subscribe button. That really helps me out. I am traveling this week, so I don't have, probably audio is a little different than you are used to, but that's okay. Take care.